Howdy, and welcome into another episode of From the East Side, TexAg's student podcast for students by students. I am one of your co-hosts, Kay Nagley, alongside Mr. Luke Evangelis.
Yeah, it's so good to be back inside. Thank you so much to the Cavins for letting us crash there last week. We've got an incredible bye-week episode for you featuring none other than Mr. Billy Liucci.
Yeah, he was reminiscing on his student days. We also had Carolyn Calzada come and talk about Aggie soccer and their season.
And, of course, the always lovely and cheerful Kennedy Cavin talking about Aggie volleyball.
Let's dive in. Howdy, y'all. We are back with none other than our co-owner and executive editor, Billy Liucci. We finally got him to sit down, and we wanted to talk a little bit, since it's bye week, about his days as a student and at A&M. Yeah, it should be some fun stories. We're excited. So first of all, we know that you've talked plenty about your roommates, Dan Campbell and then the McKinney brothers.
Ugh.
If you could just somewhat give us a glimpse of, first of all, how you met them and then what those times were like living with them.
First of all, why do I match the chair and the background? If I would have known I was doing this, I would have probably dressed differently. You didn't warn me over here.
I'm kind of matching
blue.
too.
Yeah.
Both the blue and gray.
Yeah.
How did I meet them? I don't know how I met Steve. I do know I've got high school buddies that early on in knowing Steve, we went to a party. Like a house party at their, house or apartment, whatever it was. And I'm like, all right, come in. We're going to walk in. These are my high school buddies. And we walk in, and Steve's like this massive offensive lineman at the time, and he goes in. I'm like, hey, this is and Steve, before I can say anything, he's like, hey, where's your bathroom? And he disappears into their bathroom for like 45 minutes, ruins their whole house. Everyone leaves the party. Literally, they left. People left because so that was not when I met Steve, but my buddies always bring that one up. Okay. That's a good Steve one. But Dan, I always joke with him because I met Dan on his recruiting visit. Dan's 2 years younger than me. I met him on his recruiting visit, and Hunter was his host, our co-owner here at TexAg, Hunter Goodwin. And Dan was wearing jean shorts, like not cut off, like, the new.
The jorts.
Not the jorts that everybody wears to the games, but just legit, like, jean seamed shorts and like a fluorescent tank top on his recruiting visit. That was my first impression of Dan. And Dan, with the shoulders and the arm, he looks like, like you just drew him up on a cartoon, right? But back then, for football-interested people, Dan as a recruit was like 220-something pounds. And he left A&M like 265, 270, looking like, Thor. So that Dan Campbell is not the Dan Campbell of today. Yeah. No doubt about it.
So how did it all come together where the group of y'all decided you were going to live together?
I don't know how it came together, but I know just at one point, not shortly after that, because Dan lived in they always the freshman football players would live in Kane Hall, which is right on the other side of the new football, right on the other side of Kyle Field. It's now, I guess it's now the Aggie Hotel, the A&M Hotel. So I guess it was his sophomore year, him and Steve, and we just ended up in an apartment over here across the street from the tap, Stonewood Village. I think they called it like Stoner Village, or so. It was really not the nicest spot. But we're like, hey, yeah, let's all live together. So it was me, Steve, Dan, and another buddy of ours, Brad Crowley, the godfather of the barbed wire tattoo, as I call him. The first time I'd ever seen like a barbed wire armband tattoo. Okay. This was way long ago. So it was us, and then, this is how it cycles out. Crowley or Steve goes to the NFL. He moves out, and then we adopt Shane Leckler, moves in with us. So you're looking for who's this fourth roommate. It's four of us in a two-bedroom.
Oh,
This is how people used to do it. And they'd have their little scholarship check, and the more people that could fit in an apartment, the lower their. I mean, people. This was way pre NIL.
Yeah.
We'd pulled together money to buy kegs or whatever. Like, so now you get a keg sponsorship. You can be sponsored by like a liquor store, right? And just that's what I would do if I was an athlete now. But anyway, Shane in, Steve out, Crowley out, Seth, who you guys all know, in. And that was our group for a couple of years. It was me, Seth, Dan, and Shane. And then we ended up moving right here, like 100 yards away at Old Jersey. We live at 509 Old Jersey. And that's where I started working on TexAgs. That's where I started a little computer, sharing a room with Seth, working on TexAgs.
You mentioned, so we know that you started that into your college career, but how cool was it? I guess this kind of played a factor to just have those guys. You mentioned with AC, your first interaction with him was going to or he wouldn't let you interview him, but you're like, oh, this is my roommate. I'm going to interview him anyways.
Yeah, it was before the Big 12 championship season, and I called, and they didn't have any idea who I was, so they're going to say no. Just like, and nowadays, they would still do that to somebody in my position. They still do it. You have to kind of earn your credibility and earn your, say, okay, that's a credible outlet. And back then, like, if you didn't work for a paper, oh, you're a print pub. I had a little going for me because Doug Walker, who's really a legend in this space and also kind of in the SID university relations space, and Doug, who just left here actually to take a job at Florida State. He's been all over, but I had a little bit of built-in goodwill because I was just taking over his print publication. But it was like, oh, website, but I was just going, well, I got to get the interview. And back then I wasn't worried or thinking of like relationships or burning bridges or anything like that. Young, just out of college, and I didn't think I'd do this very long. I was an ID major. I thought this was just going to be to hang out another year. All my friends were here, make some whatever kind of money it was, and it was like that much. But that was my plan, and so I just I was living with them, so I just hung up the phone and interviewed them anyway.
That's pretty awesome.
And they were good interviews, and I think the next one I did after the season opener, which was actually a loss to Florida State, was with Dante Hall, who's this weekend, by the way, getting inducted into the Chiefs Ring of Honor. So that was the deal.
Yeah.
What are some of your best memories with your roommates and with your friends from college?
Man, I think, Luke, probably no different than people probably now. Like, I think about road trips, just us piling in a truck with a bunch of beer and just, going to the New Braunfels, going to the river, or going down to Austin or going to Houston for a concert or something. Like, we didn't do much out. We didn't do, like, nowadays I feel like y'all's age group, it's like you guys just hop on a plane every other week and go like, oh, we're going to go to Cabo for the weekend, or you're doing what like we didn't get to do till we were adults.
Yeah.
Now it's like, hey, 20 of us are going to Scottsdale for the weekend, and we're going. And I wish we were doing that in college. We're going to go skiing in Telluride or whatever. But back then it was like trip to New Braunfels to the river, go see, Willie Nelson concert on the 4th of July, but those road trips were always them. But really, it was. I think more than anything, it was just whatever nights, there was. Now y'all have certain nights where you go to certain bars, right? And we didn't have Northgate like it is today. There were there was like the Tap, J.D. Wells, which is next to the Tap, Barracuda Bar, which is down Wellborn, like past Northgate, in that long strip center that's nothing going on right now. That was a big old bar that everybody went, and that was more like the clubby club. And then there was, there was the Chicken and Hurricane Harry's.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it, where people went. So, like, to me, like, it was just and then there was Shadow Canyon later, which is now right there on the corner. Shiner Park.
Oh, yeah.
It was called Shadow, same type place, really, but it was called
Little
Shadow
country bar.
Canyon. But that was, like, roughly it. But it was just the going out. And to be honest, Dan was that dude that would tell everyone we're pre-partying at our house. So our house was the place where everybody
It was the pregame
spot? And postgame.
Okay.
And if you didn't come postgame there, he was going to harass you until you got there. And then if you went to bed before the sun came up, you were like exiled. For like, you're like, and he would do that to the teammates. Like, I guess you don't care about winning. You're not one of us. I mean, aren't we boys? Like, why would you stay up till 4:30 when the sun's coming up in an hour and a half? Or why would you come this far? And shockingly, we would just sit there and hang out till the sun. So just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, here comes the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lunch for everybody to just sit around and rehash the weekend. Those were the best parts of it.
You mentioned him a little bit, but Dan Campbell, me and Luke more know him as, one of the more likable NFL coaches, but I think it's so cool how you have these stories, and how cool is it to you to see that all your roommates have now gone on to do, be very successful?
Yeah, it's awesome. And honestly, like, my college roommates that weren't football, and I don't know what I've done because they're all like doctors, dentists, psychiatrist, one of them, dermatologist, you name it. One of our closest buddies from the freshman dorms, went my route and started his own company. And it turned out to be a little bit bigger than Texas, a little place called Yeti that y'all might have heard of. So, like, and you guys will all be the same one day. You all look up and your friends, like, go off and do these incredible things. But yeah, it's been fun. But now y'all are in this with me covering football and stuff, and you get to know some of these players and coaches. And there's a lot of coaches that were like assistant coaches here that have gone on to do awesome things. There are coaches that were here as like GAs that kind of dance through the ranks and end up doing. What is she laughing at over there?
I don't know. She's always laughing about something.
What are y'all texting about?
Kennedy, you're getting in trouble.
Kennedy, stop. So anyway, you don't know where it's kind of going and stuff, but it's cool. Like, even with our players, you see what happens with some of these guys that come through that go on to, either expected great NFL careers, like guys like Mike Evans and Myles Garrett, Christian Kirk, but then there's also the unexpected ones that, come in. Mike came in unheralded, but come in unheralded. They're pretty good at A&M, and then they go on and have these really nice careers, but even in other sports too.
What was a week of classes like for you? Did you ever go to class? Did you go to the rec? Where did you eat at? What was it like?
Were the classes hard? All of that.
I went to class the first half of my college career. I was a very good student. I started in chemical engineering. Then I started taking random classes because back then you would sign up over the phone, like out of a booklet. So I started signing up for business classes because I was like, I'm shifting over. I'm not doing engineering. Shifting over. My advisor calls, and she was younger. She was probably not much older than us in college, so she was real cool. And she was like, Liucci, what are you doing? Like a year into this, I go, what do you mean? Oh, I'm switching to business. I'm not going to do engineering. Like, you can't. You got to, whatever. So she said, how about ID? Because you won't lose many hours if you do ID. Because, some of the business classes. So I ended up shifting from chemical engineering to ID, which is what I ultimately graduated in. But school, the second half of school, I did less class and more hanging out.
Yeah.
And rec center. The rec center opened when I was in college.
Okay.
So that was a big
Wow.
deal.
That
There's
was
this
like
little
the
rusted
new-
out weight room over here called like DeWare. And after like a year or two at A&M, they opened the rec. So that building was not there, and it was brand new. And it like changed the whole it changed your whole experience, because you'd go
Yeah.
over there to work out, you'd go over there to play basketball, you'd go over there to, just hang out. And that was like social hour. So yeah, everybody would go there. And then eating, I think, as is the case with college guys, probably still today, we would just go eat wherever like 6, 8, 10 of us could go for as cheap as possible.
Yep.
So like buffets were big, double days was still a thing, and it was actually one of the only pizza places here. And then I think we had a hookup for a long time at, of all places, Casa Olay in the mall. And we would go, and somebody would hook us up with 10 of us, and again, it was like maybe they were early NIL sponsorship. So Casa Olay was good. And the funny thing is, the waiter, I won't even say his name because Casa Olay might come after him, but we would go in there on Sundays, and the tab would come, and it would be much less than it should be. And so everybody would give the waiter a good tip. Yeah, here. We're in college, you know how it goes, right?
Yeah.
But the guy like somehow, some way, like got crossways with Steve the night before, like out at the tap or something, and we throw down tip money, and Steve just collects it all and goes, "We're not tipping him." We're like, "Why?" He said, "I don't like him." He's like, "He pissed me off." He's like, "He's getting nothing." So then I think we were all still welcome back, but there was a period of time where Steve was banned from Casa Olay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You briefly mentioned it. I know Northgate wasn't, what it is today, but what was the bar that you found yourself at the most at the time?
Over there, probably the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Chimmy's, which, I love, was a place called Deluxe Burger Bar. It was just a good breakfast. It was like a burger restaurant. And then right next door, which is Good Bull now, which is one that I like a lot. I know you guys a lot. That's it's a big Texas spot, and I've been, I've seen you in there. Like, I don't go out much, but when I go out game weekends, I like stopping in there. But that was, forget what that was. For a while, it was a place called Shotzi's. But it was like, I think it was a Double Dave's, and then upstairs was a bar.
Oh.
But anyway,
So
that
you
was
could eat.
so there wasn't nearly as much. Dudley's, the chicken.
Yeah.
That was damn near it. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. There's probably Fitzwilly's. What's that called now? Backyard was Fitzwilly's, and before that, like when I was in college, that was like it wasn't Taco Cabana, but it was something like that.
Huh, cool.
So like there was not a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
What was the best sporting event you attended as a student?
As a student,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm gonna tell you something. Looking back, times were not nearly as, A&M was not good in basketball when I was a student. They were my freshman year. I think they went to the College World Series. My best one as a student, it's A&M Texas football games. That's it, because the Southwest Conference stunk. Like, you guys are used to A&M playing like ranked teams so even in a year right now where we're like 4-3, but you've gone into the stadium to play Alabama with excitement, thinking, oh man, this could change the whole season. We've gone over to Knoxville in front of 100,000 checkerboard. We went to Miami and South Beach. That's just this year alone. And even though you're 4-3 and you're like, you went to Cowboy Stadium to watch them play Arkansas, you can still be like, oh, we got Oxford in a couple weeks, and you could beat a ranked team up there, and it's the Grove. And then after that we can drive down to Baton Rouge and go play LSU and have a chance, whatever. That's all in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my whole college career, my whole college tenure. I didn't have that many exciting games. No way. No chance in 5 years. So, A&M early on when I was in college would play LSU, so I went to Death Valley one year and watched the Aggies beat LSU at night. That was a fun one. And this is how old things were, is a couple of the guys on the team, and they would have, I think it was Hunter's dad said, oh, yeah, they're going to ride home with me. You could go tell Coach Slocum or the coaching staff, hey, he's going to ride home with us. And then we would all go from Baton Rouge, drive to New Orleans, go out in New Orleans that night, and drive home the next day.
Just check them out.
It's
That's
like
cool.
in high school, but that's how things were back then. But no, Texas games for sure.
Yeah.
100%. And A&M Texas at night, Thanksgiving night, that just hit differently than anything.
Yeah.
Even still, that whole day and Thanksgiving, it was crazy.
Yeah. Wish we could have had some Texas games while we were students. But to wrap things up, if you could go back and do it all over again, be a student all over again, but in today's state,
we had no social media.
What were 3 things you could do, or you would do?
If I could be in college now.
Right now. What are things that you wish you could have had or
I think you could tell from this interview everything I'm jealous of that I would do. I would find friends with money so we could all travel. That would be one. I would what I would do, Luke, you do this I think a lot. I would go to all kinds of road trips for football games throughout the SEC. That would just be a blast that people get to do now. I probably would have partied more. I think.
Didn't do enough?
No, because it took me a couple years to get going. I just eased. I was very gradually initiated into that life. So I probably would have done that more. And I'm not like people think I'm more so than I am. Y'all know me, but I probably would have done that. I think the other thing, that's about it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, what we didn't do is we did not have social media. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's part of me that's gosh, it really would help you out socially.
So you don't have,
and especially
have a phone?
Talking to girls,
Yeah.
you just had to go meet them. My God,
So
you actually had to go
them?
meet them.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to call them. I don't even know if texting was that big a deal when I got to. In fact, I know
That's
it wasn't.
crazy.
You have to go out, meet a girl, call her, figure out when you're going to go meet again, maybe ask her, it was weird now that you look back on it, but also your whole life wasn't plastered out on social. And if you were dating somebody, you didn't have to worry about what they were posting during or after. And I know how y'all are. It's 2 a.m. and they won't pick up the phone, or they won't text me back, but I can see they're on Instagram right now.
Yeah.
We don't have to deal with any of that. So everything was probably a little easier.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think any regrets other than, honestly, I would have gone to more stuff. That's what I would have. And I might have dunked my ring too.
Oh yeah.
Little known secret. And it didn't fit. Now it fits again. I need to start wearing it
You
again.
gotta start wearing it.
But I never dunked it.
Yeah.
I've been saying we should do a Texags dunk
Well,
of everyone that wants to dunk their ring.
I would do it, but they were trying to get me to do it, some friends of mine at the Texags tailgate this summer. But I'm not going to do it at a giant dunk. Maybe one day we'll do it here. So when we were in school, you would go to the Dixie Chicken and do it in a pitcher.
Yeah, that's what my
and you would
parents
go, you would kind of be sitting there like we are right now, and someone would say, "Oh, you dunk your ring," well, let's do it. And you would dunk it. There wasn't ring day. People's families didn't come in town when you get your ring. It was just kind of like you got the ring, and when you'd make your way to the chicken and dunk it, if a couple of your buddies were, but it wasn't like a giant production like it is now, which is way better now, but it's just that's what it was. So when I was in school, if you didn't do it, then you didn't do it. So maybe one day y'all can get me to dunk.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot.
You and Luke race.
No,
you haven't done it yet?
No, I've done it like 3 times.
I feel like if you do it 3 times, it negates it.
Well, I'm trying to get a personal best every time.
What is the best right now?
26 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
Okay, if you start drinking now.
I'm not a good chugger.
If Kay starts drinking now, she might
Mine
be
was
able
bad.
to finish by the time we start.
Who's the worst out of this bunch? We got some.
It might be Kay.
It's me. It's
Kennedy.
Probably me.
So Kennedy's sitting over here.
Off the camera.
I could see her doing it and like spitting up half of it. Like, one of those people that does it, but really you're like, you drank a quarter of that pitcher.
I did watch, in her defense, I did watch her do it, and I will say she was a lot better than I was when I did it.
Well,
it's not that hard to be better than what Kay
Okay,
did.
Luke, let's go.
She's from Calvert, so therefore.
Caldwell.
I know.
Okay, the fact that I could do almost 4 ring dunks in your 1 ring dunk time is absurd.
That is pretty bad. But I'm
It
not
was
going to
bad.
talk too much crap because I might
It's
like
true.
end up this might backfire.
Yeah.
Wait, don't cut it.
Oh, no.
Let's talk about the discovering of Luke. So we talk about these road trips, and so I discovered Luke, the televangelist, at the Alabama game last year in Tuscaloosa. I'm down on the field in the end zone where the kind of last play was, and we're coming down the stretch in this fourth quarter, and everybody's stressed. Bama fans, A&M fans, everybody. And, there's a railing for those that have been in Tuscaloosa. It goes all the way around, so you could just kind of stand there behind everything, hedges behind the bench, and people just stand down there. So my friends that I went with that were all Aggies, and they're like in between our ages, they're all there. And one of them, she calls me over, Lauren. She was like, hey. And I'm like, what is this? So I go over there. It's like fourth quarter, A&M's trying to win. I go, and without her even saying it, I know what she's doing. She's bringing me. And there's this head popping up behind the 2 girls that are shorter. There's this head,
this
and there's
hair?
this stash, that look, and his hair was like a little afro,
It was a little.
and it was like he's like glowing, like in the lights are hitting him. I'm like, who is this guy, and why does he look so happy? He's got great energy over here. He's making me think the Aggies are going to win. It's like stress. Oh, this guy
This guy has faith.
He's calm as can be. And she introduced me to him. I guess y'all had been talking about what he does, and he was running the bar stool. And then the next day, she texted me his information. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I liked him. And then the season gets a hold of you. And then she texted me a few weeks later, hey, did you ever? And I probably said, yeah, I did. And then she said, no, you didn't. And then we did. And then here we are.
And here he was. What was it you said? If it was something about your hair, your mustache that would make you an intern?
Yeah, so Billy walked up and was like, that's a nice hairdo. And I was like, or it was like, that's a great hairdo. And I was like, is it great enough to work at Texas?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Look at
I said, I think
Just
so.
right-
Well,
off the
I guess
dome.
we accepted it. So.
Yeah, we did. And then he cut it. What the hell's that?
I'm growing it back out. But what's
All right,
crazy
good.
about that is I wasn't even supposed to be there. My seats were in like the 400s, and we figured out that you had access to the field just by getting in the stadium. So we're like, okay, we'll just watch it from field level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Best decision I ever made.
And he brought us a loss.
Oh.
But he got a job out of it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks for joining us,
Thank you,
Billy.
Dylan.
All right, guys. See y'all.
Big thanks to our very own Billy Liucci and a 2023 Songfest judge as well.
Yeah, shout out to Centuries and Tridelt, an act that I'm a part of. So, Billy, if you're watching this, make sure to throw us an extra couple points when you're judging, please.
But he may subtract them if you're wearing that outfit.
Well, let's Maybe talk to someone that actually showed up today with a nice outfit on.
Okay.
That would be Carolyn Calzada. Hey, y'all, we're back sitting down with Carolyn Calzada, a sophomore defender for Aggie soccer. So take us back to your decision to commit to A&M.
Oh, God, that was a long time ago. I was talking to quite a few schools, and honestly, my decision came down to, this school just felt like the best fit for me all around. The soccer team, the energy was great when I came here my freshman year of high school, and it still is. The chemistry, the coaches, they've just been around for so long, and they've just done great things with the program. And then, academics-wise, it's a great school, and then just getting a degree from here is just such a big deal. So, yeah, those were two of, the really big decisions and why I chose to come here.
Yes.
So now, obviously, in season, had kind of a lot of bit of ups and downs throughout the season. How do you think the team has responded just to the waves of it so far?
I think we've had great responses. The biggest one being our response from the big Vandy loss coming back and beating Bama, who's ranked 16 or 18 now, I think. So, we faced a lot of adversity, but I just think the energy this year is great. And when we face those types of situations, instead of people putting their heads down, I just think everybody just gets excited because they know the potential that we have.
Yeah, so so you're at 3-1-1 in the division. You're sitting at 10 points and in first place in the West. What's the mindset of this team heading into your last 3 SEC regular season games?
Just a winning mindset. We have to win out. We want to win out. That'll be great energy going into the SEC tournament, winning out. Obviously, LSU being our last SEC West game is a really, really big deal. So I just think everybody being focused every day in practice, taking care of our bodies is just a really big deal.
So different teams on this campus, we've seen it with Aggie baseball do the luggage car or the Pringles the year before. Does Aggie soccer have any pre-game, post-game, or any super in-game traditions or superstitions that you feel like you have to do?
This year, one of my best friends on our team, she had to medically retire, but Caroline, she gives us a good pregame dance.
Okay.
She'll dress up. So recently she got one of those blow-up sumo suits, and she gives a really good performance before our games, and it gets everybody's energy right and just ready. So I think that's my favorite, but no, we don't really have any team superstitions. I would say it'd probably be more individual things.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
fun.
after a 3-1 start, y'all have gone 6-2 in your last 10 games, which brings me to my next question. Tell us about your dog.
Oh, that's a really good transition. Yeah. So my dog is Bear. She is a black golden doodle. She's almost 2 in about a month. And when I got her, they told me she was going to be around 35, 40 pounds. And now she's 65. And she's not fat. She's really skinny. She's really big. And she has a big sister who's a mini Aussie doodle named Moody.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
Luke could not wait to ask about your dog.
Because I heard you had a dog named Bear, and I also have a dog named Bear who's
Oh,
a
really?
Labradoodle and is 2 years old.
No way.
Yeah.
It's like they're twins.
Right?
That's awesome. So anytime G comes in here, or we hear him in a press conference, he always raves about just how tough you are. How has this season been for you physically?
I got hurt in the Mississippi State game. I was out for a couple games. That was probably more mentally tough than physically tough because I've gone through injuries before. But coming back from it, it has been physically tough, just feeling it in games and then the fatigue after 2-game weekends. But I think it's all about how we take care of our bodies. I think our nutritionists and our trainers have done a great job with that.
Yeah. What's been your favorite memory playing with this team over the last 2 years?
Oh, God. I think my favorite game would probably be the Auburn game last season or the Bama game this season. Both of those were coming off. We had a little bit of a rough start last year to the SEC. This year was coming off the Vandy game. Both games, I was coming back from an injury, so both were my first game back. And we came back and we just had great wins in both of them. So both of those were really fun. The team energy was great after. And, yeah, it was just a lot of fun to come back and win.
That's awesome.
You have another Aggie legend in your family. I want to know what that night or the Alabama night was like for you and your family, specifically seeing your brother take down #1 Alabama.
Oh, that game was so much fun. I mean, we were all so stressed out. I mean, a little bit, again, like a rough start to the season. But, you know, we were in the parent section, so we were able to go raid the field and go see him. And I don't know, that game, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that had to be awesome from a
Yeah.
sister perspective.
Yeah, I was really proud of him and everything that he's done.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
We love him here in Aggieland. So.
Yeah, he's definitely a big role model of mine.
Nice.
That's awesome. So next we're going to go into some rapid fire questions, a little bit more lighthearted. So first of all, give us your best Coach G impression.
Oh God. I don't know. I guess like the biggest one is he really gets on to us about like scoring corners. So I don't know, actually.
Is there a phrase or anything he says?
I mean, not really that he does consistently. I probably do like Seth, like one of our assistant coaches. Like a lot of times when he's giving a scouting report, he'll be sitting there and he'll be like, so this. And then he'll like go on to the next point in a bullet, and every single point he goes like this and this.
That's funny.
We have to be locked in 90 minutes defensively.
That's funny.
Yeah,
It
but we
has
love
to
it.
bring it
I
together.
love it.
Your funniest teammate?
It depends. Like either Sydney Becerra, she's always saying something funny, or Mia Pante, she doesn't mean to be funny, but anything that she does is just hilarious.
Cracks
Just
you up.
not on purpose at all.
Yeah. Who would you rather be stuck in a car with for a 10-hour road trip, Katie Smith or Allie Russell?
Oh God. I don't know.
No hurt feelings
Yeah,
here.
we won't tell them.
I don't know. I feel like maybe Allie, because she always has something to talk about.
is
Yep,
true.
that is so true.
I feel like she would make it maybe a little bit less like miserable. If I was with Katie, we might be just sitting there just complaining about it the whole time.
Yeah.
That might be why. Yeah.
Those seems like valid answers.
Yeah.
I like to talk your head off. Who is the least funny teammate?
Oh God. Maybe LG. She's just so serious. Yeah, she's just always so serious.
And then what is your pregame meal?
Texas Roadhouse. I like to just eat the plain spaghetti, no meat sauce, plain chicken, and the rolls.
And then pregame hype song. Do you listen to a pregame hype song every time?
Ooh, it changes. Anything Young Boy,
Okay.
probably.
Nice.
Just get you in like the right
That is not what I
headspace.
was
That's
expecting you to
crazy.
say. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. Just gotta get in the right
Just
headspace.
like the motivated.
Yeah.
Do you have any soccer icks? Like would they swear something a certain way or?
bows in the hair.
Oh, I haven't. Interesting.
Yeah, I've seen those a couple times this season against teams we've
You
played.
just want
Ugh.
strictly business.
Yeah, that's just too preppy.
Just want to rip it out of their hair almost,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Another one. Who is your idol?
Oh gosh. It really depends. Soccer idol, I'd probably say Crystal Dunn. I love her. I love the way she plays. I would love to be her when I grow up. She's amazing. And then like off the field, I would just say like my mom. Honestly, that sounds so corny, but like I literally want to be her when I grow up too. Like she's just amazing.
Yeah. And then your best friend on the team. Probably have a lot of them.
My two best friends on the team. Actually, no, my roommates.
Okay.
Olivia Fetzer, Cindy Becerra, Caroline Niffin, and Mac.
Okay.
And those four are my roommates. Those are my best friends. I would not be able to do this without them.
Well, y'all have senior day coming up on Thursday. So against South Carolina at 7 p.m. So make sure to pack Ellis. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks,
Nice.
guys.
Thank you. Please ignore this goofy outfit that would be at the top of Kay Nagley's fashion list because she has no style. Let's go from hearing about packing Ellis to packing Reed.
We are sitting down with student volleyball reporter Kennedy Cavin. Kennedy, A&M has been on quite a streak lately. They just hit 4 wins in a row as they took down South Carolina over the weekend. What can you tell us about that match?
Although it was a sweep, I honestly was expecting a little bit more from them offensively. I think South Carolina kind of caught them on their heels a little bit, a little too confident in a way. And like I said, although it was a sweep, I think that they could have held them to a few more points. But again, it was 4th win in a row, first game back home. So you got to count a lot of different factors into that. I think it was overall a good team win. And it set them up nicely going into their next match.
Yeah, so they're 14-4 on the year and 6-2 in SEC play. Is this where you thought Coach Morrison would be in year one?
That's a hard question. I'd not necessarily, but at the same time with Coach Morrison's resume, it's almost like if it wasn't at that point, you would be a little disappointed. But at the same time, first year head coach coming into a brand new school, it wasn't what I was expecting. I don't think anybody was expecting, especially with the performance of last year. I think it just shows the difference in coaching and how the girls respond to different styles of coaching and play.
How nice is it to have a winning streak already going into 2 big home matches?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you've got Florida coming up. I think they're ranked number 17. And then you have Tennessee coming up sooner than I think anybody's expecting. And it's huge to go on a little streak right there, build up their confidence, and kind of nose to the grindstone, get ready to grind throughout these last few SEC matches.
Yeah, so they got the best of number 17 Florida in 5 sets a couple weeks ago. Back then they were a top 10 team, but do you think the Aggies could do it again?
They were actually top 5 team. They were ranked number 4. I think that A&M is better than any team in the SEC right now. Honestly, I think against Arkansas earlier in their season, I think they hadn't played an opponent like that at that point quite yet. So I don't think they were expecting that. But now I think that they could walk into any SEC match and take it. So yes, I think that A&M is gonna beat Florida. Hopefully, I see that happening. And Coach Morrison said in a press conference, he was like, they could go 5 sets, they could go 3 sets. You never know. Just because Florida's not the same team as they were whenever they last saw A&M.
Well, A&M volleyball has 2 huge home matches this weekend, so everyone make sure to pack a read. And Kennedy, thanks for joining us. Thanks so much for watching this episode of From the East Side. Me and Luke are getting a little tired of doing some of the work for this podcast, aren't you, Luke?
Yeah. And you know what else you're probably tired of?
What?
Wearing horrible outfits. So we're looking for interns. And if you're interested in working at Texas A&M and being a part of this incredible company culture and having your best friends to work with, you should probably apply. Kay, tell them how to apply.
Yeah, you can apply at texags.com/internship. We need a lot more people to be friends with. I guess these are just our way of getting more friends.
Right.
In all.
Well, I don't need that. You.
Okay, Mr. Disco, let's calm down. Thanks for watching this episode. We'll see y'all next week when A&M takes on South Carolina.